What's up, guys? I'm Mel.
And I'm KJ.
And we're the hosts of Millennial Talk. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Millennial Talk. We are here today with Imani.
And Courtney.
So today we're going to be talking about dates and who pays for the dates. Does the guy pay for the date? Does the girl pay for the date? Does it matter? What if you're in a same-sex relationship? Then really who pays for it? So that's what we're here to talk about today. So let's get the tea. So what are our first thoughts on this topic?
Well, I personally think, and I know everybody's going to have a difference of opinion, but I think that whoever plans the date should pay. I think it's fair. Like, it's like you plan the date, so like, but I like the first date I do, like, if the guy pays, you get a little burning points in my opinion. But like, if I obviously plan the date, I'm gonna be like, oh, I got paid. But like, it was like one person I was dating, and he would plan and stuff, but he was like cheap. Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but he was like cheap. So it's not like he really took me out on dates for real. It was just like, oh, we're going to Dunkin' Donuts.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But what you were saying about whoever plans it should be the one to pay for it. What if you're in a situation like when I was with my ex, like I was always the one making plans. Like he would never make plans. It was always me making the plans. So does that mean I have to pay every single time because I'm the only one taking the initiative to make plans for a date?
I think to her point, if you guys aren't dating, then whoever asks who out should pay. But when you're in a relationship, in my opinion, I think it's like, okay, you pay this time, I pay next time.
Yep, I like that.
Yeah. That's how I see it.
Yeah, but you do have a lot of people. I'm from the South, and a lot of girls in the South don't expect to ever pay for anything. Like one of my friends for my birthday, I went down there for my 23rd birthday, and she's like, oh, I'm about to take you to this restaurant. So I'm like, all right, cool. We went to this Mexican restaurant. And Bill comes, she goes, oh yeah, one check. And I'm like, oh, okay, she's taking it over. And then she goes, you got it right? And she expected me to pay on my birthday.
Oh my excuse.
That's a whole other conversation.
So it's just like, but it's like, it doesn't matter like if it's your birthday, if it's, whatever it is for you, they still expect you to pay. And I don't agree with that.
That's good.
Which is why I don't date Southern women anymore.
It's a little harder.
There's the tea on that.
It's a little harder in same-sex relationships because I'm seen as a dominant.
Okay.
So a lot of girls mistake me as the boy role when it's not really that way. I'm a dominant female. I'm a gentle woman. You feel me? So, but I've spent so much money because out of habit, I just I got it. But then if I've had girls like, no, I'm paying because I asked you out. And I'm like, no.
Okay, you a keeper?
So it depends on, for me, it depends on who it is.
Okay.
But if it's a youngin or something, I'm putting my wallet down.
Why?
I tell you, because I'm older, I'm more dominant. I'm usually the one driving because I don't like people to drive me because when I want to leave, I want to leave.
Oh yeah.
So I drive, and then I have to cool the car. They always like, oh, you driving right? Because they just want to sit in the
Yeah.
So I'm always stuck with the bill. I'm stuck with everything. I
feel like they're taking advantage after some point. Like they definitely taking advantage.
That's why.
But I thought it was interesting that you said that if they're younger, then you'll automatically pay for it. So you wouldn't let somebody that's younger than you pay for...
Oh yes, I would. I would let anybody pay for it. But I'm telling you, the culture, perfect culture of the gay community. If I look like this, I'm the one with the money.
Interesting.
It is the other girl with the money. He just looked the part.
I especially feel like I was watching Married at First Sight, and the pastor said, he was saying, the girl was talking about gender roles and like who the man and the woman, and she was like, well, he should be paying all the bills. And then the pastor was like, but don't you make more money than him? So shouldn't you take some responsibility considering you're a secretary and he's not?
Right.
But she was like, nah, when a basic secretary, she was like,
I find that very interesting, especially coming from a pastor, because in the Bible it says something around like,
the man is the head of the household.
Yeah, he's providing all these different things.
But the woman is the neck who supports the man.
Yeah. But like in my mind, like I don't necessarily agree with that because in today's age, where we are in life, I could see it back then to where the man would have to pay for everything because
a lot of times the women back then weren't even working.
Yeah, but I think right now it's to a point to where like women can make that much money, if it comes to a point to where like I can't pay for something, I don't want them to be looking at me like
like the girl sister.
right, like the girl sister's like, pay up, like I need my allowance. Like I'm not gonna do that. So it's like I need someone who's gonna like, help me. If I go out one day, I want her to be able to say, oh, I'm gonna pay this time. Just offer.
Right.
And I'll probably still say no, but it's like I want them to try. Like show me that you also have money, because I know you make a lot of money. So it's like if you make a lot of money as well, why are you sitting here making me, spend all my money and all of these different things if we both are here together?
You know what I saw on Instagram?
It's all 50-50.
It was this post where it was the guys, like the guy and the girlfriend and the best friend hanging out. The guy had his girl, like, be my girl, whatever, I got you. Friend's card declined. He was like, what they gotta do with me?
Absolutely nothing.
Girlfriend got so upset.
That he wouldn't pay for the
she was
friend?
like, you being cheap.
I saw that. But it has absolutely nothing to do with him.
Exactly.
He's not dating that best friend. That best friend has no obligation to him. He has no obligation to him. If his girlfriend got mad at that, he needs to let that girl go. Because that girl's gonna cost him a lot of money.
Yeah.
But my parents are really traditional.
My parents are as well.
They don't cuss. They don't do nothing.
Well, not that.
But
not that traditional.
my father pays the mortgage. He pays. I call it big bills.
Yeah.
Okay. My mother, her bills just as much because she's paying for all the cars, and then she pays for. If I call her up, I need $100. She gives it to me. Now my father, she gives it to me. So she pays for us.
Yeah.
And our activities and extra stuff, and he takes care of everything over time.
Okay.
So you just gotta. I think people mistake. You gotta find somebody who's equally yoked.
Yes.
Equally financially, mentally, all of that, emotionally. But they can be all of that. But if somebody's not financially stable or financially on the same level as you, if you're here and they're here, it's not gonna work.
Well, I thought it was interesting what you were saying about how like you want them to offer, because I feel like there's almost like this, not an unspoken rule, but it's like this weird like mind game that I've heard or like seen videos people talk about where it's like the guy like wants you to offer, but they don't actually want you to do it. And it's like, okay, well, if you don't want me to do it, or you're gonna have a problem because like, oh, I paid the bill, that's gonna hurt your, your manhood or whatever. Then it's like, it's like, how do I know when to offer? How do I know when to offer or when to not offer so that I don't hurt your manhood? Like, how do I know if you just are doing it to see if I will versus if you actually want me to?
So, if you're dating someone and it hurts his manhood that you pay, you should probably stop dating him. So that's the first part. Secondly, it's not like a game where it's just like, oh, like if you don't offer, then we're not meant to be. It's more so it's just kind of like a respect thing, because it's just like if we're going out and we're dating and we go out every weekend, and every weekend I'm paying, and not once you even offer, but you always want to go to these expensive places. In my mind, that's inconsiderate to me, because no matter how much I make, it's like I still gotta take care of myself.
Right.
I still gotta pay my bills. I still gotta do everything for myself. So the fact that you never even offered, it's kind of just like, wow, it's not even on the table
And
for
if
me
they
to
watch you
accept.
struggling,
Yeah.
and then they don't help you, that says a lot.
And it's like you never know if I would accept, but it's like most times I probably won't, because I don't really put myself in a situation to where I wouldn't be able to afford like a dinner or like be able to afford anything like that. But it's just, if I ever was, if the offer's never on the table, it kind of sucks for me, because it's just like, all right, I either gotta be a butthole and say no, we're not going out, because I know I'm gonna have to pay, or tell you, say, okay, you're gonna pay this time, which if a man says that, it doesn't look.
That's a touchy subject.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you next, because I feel like if you, as a female, and if you're in a heterosexual relationship, and you're a female and your guy is like paying for everything all the time, but he's never said or made it seem like it's a problem that you don't pay or whatever, how do you know that it's a problem unless he says something? You know what I mean?
I feel like just as a person, you should just offer.
That's all I'm saying. I said it's all out of like being considerate. It's just like if you weren't raised to, it's just like if I ever go out with my friends and their parents are like, I'm paying, oh no, I have it, and I usually my parents go, oh no, like we have it, like you're with us, you're part of the family, we're gonna pay for you. It's like even if they didn't say that, I was always prepared to pay for myself. And it's just like no matter what, I don't want to put my burdens on someone else, no matter if I'm dating them, no matter what. I think it's just still considerate. Just
That's how you was raised.
yeah.
That's how
And
you was raised.
I want to find somebody who was raised like that. And if you're not raised like that, then
You gotta go.
you gotta go.
Okay, so let's flip it a little bit. So what if you are in a situation where you offer to, like, okay, you're the female, you offer to pay, and you're dating or with one of these guys who are very, like, who's very old school and, like, feels like, you know, the man is supposed to pay or whatever, and, like, they don't like that you paid for, you know, whatever it was, or, like, they won't let you pay.
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts on that type of situation?
Accept it.
Because I've been in that situation. I've been in that
If you want
situation
to
before.
keep dating, like,
At that point, you had to try to pay in another
Find another way, yeah.
I feel like here, finesse
Not-
it real quick. Like, oh, let me get the bill real quick.
But not even necessarily monetary. Just if
Like
you
doing
know that
something.
he's gonna pay for the date, offer to
Drive.
Yeah.
Or say, or just saying, let's try something a little cheaper, or let's stay home,
Yeah.
or let's go somewhere free. You know,
Just be
museums
considerate of the
free.
person. Yes.
Just not, you don't even have to bring up money. Just be like, no, let's do this today.
Yes.
Let's go to the park or something. Cause my ex, I did. I mean, this is why it's a little hard for me now, because she was on the same financial level as me. When I said I wanted to go somewhere, we went. There was no cap at all. She paid for it, or I paid for it. I set myself up to keep up with her. And then, but then there came a time where I was the one with the money, and that was it. But then she became very considerate of me being the only one with the money for real,
Yeah.
and we did free things, but it was a conversation.
Yeah.
There was a mutual understanding, like, okay, we just don't have it. But the eyes turned into we's.
Yeah.
If their eyes don't turn into we's,
And that's what I was saying, like, as a guy, like, do you say, like, hey, like, I have a problem with the fact that, like, you don't offer, that you don't contribute or whatever like that?
Well, like
That's what I was asking earlier.
Well, yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, if you don't do it, then you weren't raised that way. And if you weren't raised that way, I can't change you. And I'm
But
not
it
going
may
to
not
try
be a
to.
situation. It might not be a situation where you don't want to do it. Maybe it's a situation where you just, I don't want to say you got comfortable, but like you got used to them being the one to do it, so you don't even think about it anymore. So then,
like complacent. Like,
yeah, like you're just used to them doing it, and it's not that it would be an issue. You just didn't know there was an issue, and had they said something to you, then you would have like gladly chipped
I
in,
feel
but like you
if
didn't
you know
know it
who
was
you're
a problem.
comfortable with, just say it. Like if y'all comfortable with each other, you should be able to say.
And that's
hey.
why I was asking, like, from the male's perspective, because I've been in a situation where, like, it almost, like, hurt his pride to, like, say, like, hey, I don't have the money, we can't do whatever. So then he would, like, make up other excuses as to why we couldn't do stuff, when really the reason why we couldn't do it was because he didn't have any money. And had I known that, we either could have done other things, or I would have just paid for it, but I didn't. You don't have to lie and, like, make up reasons, like, oh, we can't go here because, like, my grandmother's sick. Like, no, she's not. Like, she's doing just fine. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, that wasn't the excuse he gave me, but it was, like, where he would come up with excuses as to why we couldn't go places or do, like, I remember one time he was like, I don't celebrate Valentine's Day. And it was like, but we celebrated Valentine's Day last year. So what happened in the last 365 days that you just somehow decided that you don't celebrate it anymore and didn't tell me this until, like, the day before? And it's like, oh, all right.
Well, I do agree with you that communication is
Yeah.
key, but I'm going to stick by what I'm saying. If you're not raised that way, and I'm not
gonna understand it.
Yeah, because
I
I'm not going to.
I don't know if I agree with that though.
It's fine, but like, what I'm saying is, if I live with them, right, and they don't like to clean after themselves, right? I can't, even if I say something to them, they weren't raised to clean after themselves. So I can't get mad at them for not cleaning up themselves, for not doing it. So I just not gonna live with them again.
But if you don't tell them, like, hey, you have an issue with this, like if you told them that you had an issue with whatever whatever it is, if you like communicated that, then maybe they would start, in this example, they would start cleaning. They just, like, it just didn't cross their mind.
Yeah.
And because it was never brought up, they didn't think about it, so they didn't do it. But had there been a conversation about it, they would have been like, oh, you know what? You're right, I haven't been cleaning. Like, I should go ahead and clean. Like, it's only fair.
Yeah. Okay. Goes back to how come isn't a habit? You see all this dirt and all this filth around your place.
Exactly.
Like the fact
Nothing
that you
clicks.
Yeah, it's like the fact that you had to have someone tell you to clean it. Then I don't want to be around that, right? So it's like if I have to ask you to ask me to pay, then I don't want to be around that, because it's just like, if it's not already like something that you have within you, then I'm just gonna let.
It's like an unspoken law with the movies. If I buy the tickets, you buy the snacks. It's unspoken law. I don't know, it's just me again going back to how you was raised. I don't feel, but I've been out with a couple females who just assume I'm gonna pay for, I'm gonna pick you up, pay for the ticket, pay for the snack. And then you getting like nachos and stuff, and that's just like $8. No.
Yes.
So now I'm going from spending $25 at the movies. They're spending $40, not to mention I've spent $60 for dinner. So now that's $120 really, or $100. And I'm like, what do?
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
What do I get out of it?
it's not always. I don't always need something back. I don't do stuff to get stuff back. But when stuff does not equal out, and I'm looking at my bank statement, and I'm like, wow, this is a lot of money. I've spent $1,000 in a month doing things for you, and I don't really necessarily.
It's just having respect and being considerate of people.
I get where y'all are coming from.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe it's just the way that you're saying it, the way that I'm taking it. But if it feels like you're saying like if they're not gonna do X, Y, Z on their own, like if they don't think to do it on their own, and you have to tell them, then maybe this isn't the person for you because they weren't raised the same way that you were raised and they don't have the same values or whatever that you have. But I feel like on the other side of that, if you just have a simple conversation, let them know, hey, this is bothering me, or hey, I want you to do this, then that issue could be fixed. You don't have to break up or separate or whatever just because they weren't doing it. Because if you just say something, they'll start doing it, and the problem, is solved.
But you make it sound like it's that simple. But some people, it's
well, no, I'm saying like you could have that conversation and they still won't do it. And if that's the case, then you gotta go.
Oh, yeah.
But like if you don't even make that attempt to have that communication, have that conversation, tell them that you're not giving them the opportunity to see if they'll fix it. Because like I said, it might be something where it's just not on their mind. They get comfortable.
It's
awkward, but you gotta get over it.
It is.
Right, that's such a millennial thing.
Because I don't know how to have that convo. I don't know how to say.
You should say that when y'all before y'all start
dating. Listen, I'm getting it again. It depends on the girl.
Yeah.
Because if it's one of those high maintenance females.
Yeah.
And I have to be like, listen,
honey.
And then I make it, and I know myself. So I'm be like, I can't afford this. I've gotten to the point where I'm saying I can't afford that, and I've had a girl say, okay, we're not going. And then I've had other girls saying, oh, I got it.
Yeah.
So, again, it depends on the girl. But if you wasn't raised that way, no matter a conversation or not, it's either you going and they got it, or you not going. And if we not going, I know right there we're not on the same financial level. And also, it depends on what they spend their money on.
Yes. I agree with that.
And it goes back to this also how they were raised. Some people just spoiled. They just used to it. They like, oh yeah, you want to do that for me?
Oh, I already don't date those type of people. I scope it out right away. Cause
gotta go. No.
I have a friend, and her parents have a lot of money, and I wouldn't think twice about dating her.
Oh dang.
Because I've seen her past relationships. And it was kind of one of those things where she expected him.
She's entitled.
Yeah, to pay for everything. Because if they think we rich, why are we dating them? I be in Ariana Grande's DMs right now. Like,
what in the world?
Why would I be in yours? Because
so your amount of money determines who you date.
Yeah.
KJ.
Just like
it does.
You're terrible.
Now you're saying he'll go.
I agree.
It increases your
options.
Options.
Like right at this point of how much I want, and I tried to go to Ariana Grande. If I looked like a god and I slid in her DMs, it wouldn't even be a question. Because I can't. In her new song, 7 Rings,
Stop, I know what you're about to say.
she was like, she was like, I'm on set. If I want it, I got it. I will buy it. I can't buy it for you right now. Like if she wanted, I don't got it. Yeah.
So it's like, what are you gonna offer someone who has enough money to get it herself?
Yeah. And
why do you have to offer them materialistic things or things that cost money?
Because that's the world we live in.
But and it's also like their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So it's just like
I'm not disagreeing that, like you said before, that you should be evenly yoked and that you should be on the same financial status so that you can, if you want, like if the things that you want to do, you can't do because they're not on that level. I get that, but like the way you said, he was like, oh, if I had more money, I wouldn't be dating you. I'd be dating somebody else. Like, why would you? Why though? What's wrong with the person just because they don't make enough money?
No, but it's just like if you're expecting, I'm basically going off of what she was saying. Like if you're expecting me to buy you a $700 bag, $400 bag, I would not be dating you. I'd be dating someone who can also afford that for themselves. Like I'm not gonna date somebody who's, because at that point it's kind of just like they're looking to you to buy things because they know you make a lot of money. So it's like I'm not gonna date somebody for them to look to me to purchase everything.
But you know what's weird? That there are some people that are like that. There are some people that like want to be that person.
Like they won't date you unless you're making a certain amount.
Yeah.
You know what that's called?
Gold digger.
A sugar baby.
I was about to say that because I was like, there's a website on that, you know.
At that point, they're past the emotional connection with people. They just like people for what they can do for them, not for who they are.
Yeah.
At all. So, no. Gotta go.
Gotta go.
Gotta go.
No.
Gotta go.
I 100% agree.
Gotta go.
That's so interesting. I don't know. I think that
I seem a little baffled.
No, I'm still, because I was still thinking about what you were saying earlier about how like if you have to tell them that you have a problem with something or tell them that there's an issue or whatever, then they're not the one for you. Because I don't know, that still baffles me because I just feel like if you just say like, hey, like this is bothering me, this is a problem. Like I get what you were saying, like, oh, I don't know how to have the conversation, and that's a whole other episode that we can have talking about that in and of itself, because there are a lot of people that don't know how to start that conversation or aren't confrontational and all that kind of stuff. So that's a whole other situation. But I feel like if you don't give them that opportunity, then
it depends on who you dating. Like you know who you buy, you know who you can be comfortable having that conversation with. It shouldn't be a question. But I get that.
But if your issue is that you can't have that conversation because of the kind of person that they are, not because you don't want to have the conversation with them because the things won't change, then you are breaking up with them not because they won't pay for the date or they won't pay for whatever. You're breaking up with them because you're not comfortable with them, and you're clearly not comfortable if you can't have that conversation with them.
It's like I understand what you're saying completely about I shouldn't just break up with them because they don't think the same way as me. You're right. But it's just like that's just the first problem.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like if you're gonna break up with them over a situation like that, you're not really breaking up with them because they didn't think to pay for whatever. There's got to be something else that's like going on. Because if it was just that, all you have to do is say something to them and be like, "I need you to chip in," or it's getting really hard for me to do this, and they would do it. So if you're breaking up with them because they're not just thinking of it on their own, and they weren't raised the same way you were raised, if they can't control how they were raised or what's going through their mind,
right,
we're missing the part of their reaction too.
Yeah,
that's why I said if they're not gonna do it.
If they looked at you like,
right, and then you gotta go. Right.
But if they're like,
oh, okay, I didn't think about that. You're right.
But the vital part to that is because you gotta put action to it. So you're not gonna forget about that conversation. They might. Right. So the next, and you don't want to have that conversation twice. Trust me. You do not want to bring it up like, oh, remember that time. You know, it makes things awkward. It's like, oh, now they just, So if the next time, this is the deal breaker right here. The next time come up and they don't step forward, we're done.
Right. I agree. What baffled me was that it seemed like you weren't giving them that opportunity to do that, to have a reaction or to see if they're going to change. You're like, I'm not even going to have that conversation with you. Like, it's not worth it.
And it's not even just like that with relationships. I have friends who I will never spend money on because they have never dropped $1 on me, and they never will think about doing it. So it's just like, even if it's like if we're out at a restaurant and I'm like, oh, you know what? Like, I'll pay for the entire thing. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Like, for instance, I went out with my friend Andrew and Matt. We all went out to eat. And it was our first time seeing each other. I was like, you know what? I'm paying for it. And it was okay. And the next time we went out, they paid for me and we just always go back and forth like that. I didn't have to ask them. It was just like, out of habit, or they just knew. They're like, hey, you paid last time, I'm gonna pay this time.
I'm not saying that you should have to ask them, but I'm saying if it gets to a point where it bothers you, but you haven't said anything or communicated that it's an issue that it's bothering you, you just expect for them to just one day like just change the status quo that's been the same this whole time and just be like,
okay, I don't think you're understanding.
Yeah,
like,
that's why
you're not
I'm
understanding.
I don't get it.
It's if
something should click.
I think she does get it, but I feel like I do honestly. I think she gets it.
No,
but
she doesn't.
No. I think she does.
I think I do. I don't know.
If you don't, it's just decency to like ask. Like, I don't care if you're with a girlfriend, boyfriend, friend, mom, dad, sister, cousin.
But
I don't care.
You're faulting them because it doesn't.
I'm not faulting them.
It's
how you're raised. And
so if you weren't raised that way.
But what I'm telling you, if you weren't raised that way, then I don't want it because that's not the only thing that you will do.
Okay.
It'll be if I make it.
And that's what I said. You're not breaking up with them because of that reason.
No,
there's got to be other things going on.
And that's what she said.
Yeah, but I pay for people, and people people have paid for me.
Yes.
And when people, I feel uncomfortable. And my sister also feels uncomfortable. And once again, it's how we're raised. And it's just, if you don't ever, like, if you go out and someone pays for you and you don't feel uncomfortable and you don't try to make it up in any way, shape, or form, then it's just like, you know what?
I pay attention to
yeah.
that. I also pay attention to what you order. Because if my meal is $19.95 and I drink water,
And yours is 100.
and yours is $22.95, and then you order a glass of wine or champagne, and then
you want to
get
get
a dessert. And I'm looking at, and I'm not saying anything, okay?
She understands.
I'm not saying anything because at this point I'm over on my side transferring money, like,
Yes.
okay. And I put it down,
I love
and now I'm
somebody.
thinking like, okay, if I don't want to have this conversation right now, I'm paying attention to all of it. I'm paying attention to how you react. I'm paying attention to when I make plans and you react to the plans, I'm paying attention to it. So if you're spending $80 at the Cheesecake Factory and my meal was only $20, then we're only going to the movies. Where I can keep a cap on it.
going to
Because
Dollar
I can't
Tree.
even introduce you to any other things that might cost some real money.
Yeah.
I spent, I think, $1,000 in Atlantic City to take a helicopter ride. Now that was perfectly fine for me because one, I was with my fiance, and two, she just spent $3,000 on a cruise. You see the weight difference? If I can't get you past the movies and maybe a dim down on cheesecake to understand, okay, this is a random Wednesday payday, not till Friday or next Friday,
Yeah.
and we're just out, and you're not taking into consideration that we're not on vacation or nothing, then we cannot go on vacation. We cannot even get past
You ain't got time to change people.
that I pay for the movie ticket,
Like, I'm not going
and you
to
pay
this.
for the snacks.
I'm not rebuilding somebody.
I think what he said is common sense.
Come build.
It's common sense. If somebody's constantly filling up my cup, and their cup is empty, I'm gonna eventually be like, dang, you thirsty?
Right.
If you don't ask me if I'm thirsty, I don't have nothing for you.
Nothing
You're gonna
for
take all my
y'all.
juice, and then eventually, me and you both are gonna be very thirsty. You're just gonna move on to them. I can't let somebody suck me dry like that. I'm paying bills off. She creating them,
Yes.
not the person for me.
Hello.
See, like what you're saying, I feel like I feel what you're saying. 'Cause
We're
you're
saying the same thing.
No, because what she's saying,
She
or at
just
least
explained it more.
no, because like it sounds like what you're saying is like if you're not raised the same way that I'm raised, and it's not gonna work. What it sounds like you're saying is like if we're not raised the same way, then I'm gonna address it. I'm gonna say something about it, and then if you don't change after I said something about it, then we not gonna work. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Like what the difference is between what I feel like you're saying versus what you're saying. Like you're giving them a chance, and if they don't work, if they don't do it, then you gotta go. You're like, nah, this ain't gonna work. I'm not even about to say nothing. Like I shouldn't have to say anything. We just gonna go down
shouldn't.
here. So that's why I'm like,
I
for
would at
you,
least-
Because if
I
you
was
go
like,
back to my
conversation.
if you go back to my
to y'all, but
if you
like,
go
I
back
do
to
know
my
people
comment,
who's
it's like
spoiled. They just don't know
because I
better.
was born with a penis, you expect me to pay for everything, and if you don't even ask me, that's just rude. I don't care what you say, it's rude.
I'm not saying it's
No, but
not
like,
rude.
some
It's
people
so
are
rude.
like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I know, and it's like, if you don't think
date
it's
men,
rude,
but even my guy
But they don't know.
friends,
Yeah.
if I'm getting breakfast,
exactly.
if I'm
Exactly.
getting breakfast, I go, you hungry? And I'll get them breakfast because I know when lunchtime come around, they're gonna buy lunch. It's all who you surround yourself with, and then the person that you mess with see that they be like,
yeah.
maybe I should put on my
The
watch.
way I see it is I've had spoiled people change around me. I help
Exactly.
them change. So I'm going to try to help them
Exactly.
change. Like, for example, half of them didn't know how to do their laundry. Teach them why they spoiled. They ain't know no better. So I had to teach a lot of my friends freshman years how to do their own clothes. Because they ain't know nothing. But they made an effort to learn.
right.
Yeah, but
Small
the
things.
difference is you weren't doing those clothes. No matter if they did,
Hello,
if they
somebody.
didn't know how to do the clothes, you weren't washing.
Assalamu alaikum.
Were you gonna wash them?
Get out.
Heck no. So yeah, you changed them for the better, but them changing did not affect you because you weren't washing their clothes.
So that example doesn't even count.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I get what you're saying. I just feel like the example that you gave wasn't.
It wasn't a good example.
Yeah.
But, like,
But I get what
If you
you're
were
saying.
washing their clothes, okay, I'm all for it. But if you weren't washing clothes, it's like, all right, they don't wash their clothes. They ain't gonna have no clean clothes. that don't got
Yeah,
nothing to do with it.
I got where
You
you
were
were going,
trying to go with
but
it.
the example you gave wasn't really a good example.
But I
But
was trying to
basically,
get
what
there.
you're saying is that you have known people that have been like spoiled or whatever, where they weren't considerate, they weren't thinking, and they didn't come up with the idea like, oh, I should do da da da. They just let it go on as it is, and then because you or someone else around them like said something to them, they were like, oh, like, yeah, I guess I should be doing da-da-da, and then they change and now they are this person that is considerate. But that's why I'm saying, if you don't say anything to them, they don't know that it's an issue, then they're going to continue the whole rest of their life being this way because nobody ever told them that being this way is wrong. And that's why I said you're not giving them a chance to change, but then you said that you're just not in the business of changing people.
I'm not in the business of changing
and that's
people.
that's
I'm
that's
not.
what it is.
I was not.
That goes
fine.
all the way back to what she said. I think that if I text a boy right now and say, I want to take you somewhere, I'm paying. And I want him to know that I'm paying. If somebody texts me and say, I want to take you somewhere, or let me take you out, you're paying. If I come up with the date, I don't care if it's our first date or not. If I come up with the date, I'm going to pay.
Exactly.
And that's like me saying, hey, take me to the movies, but you drive. I want to go, but you drive, and you pay for it, and you also pay for the snacks. But I want to go.
And that's what happened with that one guy where I was hoping that didn't sound cheap, but with like the Dunkin' thing, it was also another thing where we went downtown, and I'm thinking, oh, he came up with the date, he gonna pay. We at the ice cream parlor, now it's ice cream. He waiting.
I would be waiting too.
I was waiting too. I paid for my own ice cream. I was like, all right, so you can play games. I see how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Like, so we're not on the same level clearly. And
I'm
like,
not saying that. Go ahead, finish what you're saying.
but I'm like, I'm not saying that I can't like pay for you, but like I didn't come up with this date. I didn't know I was about to pay. You don't know if I had money or not. You set me up.
You set me up.
I feel set
No,
up.
I agree. I agree with that statement from the beginning that whoever's idea it was should be the one to pay for it. Like that should be the rule, period. Like in any type of relationship, heterosexual, same sex, whatever, even if it's like friends, like whoever's idea it was to go, if it's gonna be all on one person, y'all not going Dutch, y'all not splitting it, it should be whoever's idea it was to do this activity to pay for the activity. But because we kind of went off on a tangent a little bit and started talking about like, oh, what if you're in a relationship and this person is like, you know, one person is constantly being the one that's paying for stuff, and you know that person doesn't ever like offer to chip in. If they don't know that it's an issue and you don't say anything to them, then they're never going to know it's an issue, and you're going to break up with them, and they're really not going to know why they were broken up with, and they're going to continue to be that way in all their other relationships until somebody takes it upon themselves to have that conversation, to say something to make them change. But like you said, you're not in the business of changing.
I'm not in the
people.
business. But what I will say is, everybody who watches this knows that me and Nell don't agree on anything.
Ever.
And it's completely okay.
Ever.
Because me and Nell, we don't see eye to eye on none of these things,
Ever.
which is why we will never date.
That's why we do the show together.
Yeah, it's like we'll never date, but like we're great people to like talk about these things with, because she always sees it another way, and I always see it differently.
And there are gonna be people that are watching this that are gonna see it the way you see it, and there are gonna be people that are watching this to see it the way I see it. And that's why we love the show.
But I never got to say my full statement earlier of I'm not in the business of changing people, because if I was put here on this earth to change every single person I'm dating, because it's like no matter if that's the one problem, and then I'm dating them, and then that's the issue, and I change it, and then we end up breaking up, and I'm with somebody else, and I gotta change that too, and then we break up, and it's just like, okay, I need to start picking people who don't know how to date, who don't know how to
that's a whole other situation. You gotta be a better judge of character picking out who you're dating. That's a whole other episode.
But like, I'm gonna leave with this, and then I'm not gonna say nothing else for the rest of the episode. I am going to say, as I said the entire video, if you do not think something is rude, as in paying for the date, if you don't think it's rude, I don't want to be with you, because if you don't think that's rude, how many other things that you don't think are rude? And it's like, I'm not your parent. Right. I'm not your mom. I'm not your father. Right. I was not put here on this earth to teach you to take out the trash, to clean your room, to offer to pay, no matter if you're a guy or a girl. No matter, I was not here to do that for you. So if your parents did not teach you, then clearly you need to move back home and try again. And that's all I'm going to say.
But if you move home back,
I'm done. I'm going to say I can't respond to you, so don't expect a response.
But I'm just going to say what I got to say about that statement. If you move back home and do it again, you're not going to learn nothing, because
they were the ones that raised you in the first place.
You're not going to learn nothing. So
that's true.
But the way I see it is, I was raised the same way as KJ. I get it.
Yeah, I was too. I'm just trying to look at it from the other perspective.
No, we on the same page. Me on the same page. And they on the same page.
I'm on your page.
But it's like, my thing is, me as a person, everybody knows who I am as a person. I'm going to give everybody the benefit out first, and I'm trying to give you my answer. And then, because I don't want it to be later on, y'all be like, why didn't you just tell me? So then that's on my conscience. I don't want that on my conscience.
Because as a grown woman, I just don't feel like it's necessary for me to say, okay, for the past 5 times we've been out, I have swiped my card. I have swiped My God. And please don't get me started on if you hear me have a conversation and you see me stressed. Because if y'all really talking, they're going to see all sides of you. So it's going to be a day I'm stressed. And I say I'm stressed. They go, oh, what you stressed about? And I tell you, girl, these bills. And nothing clicks to say, okay, next time I go out, I know that she's stressed about bills and she just paid this, that, and that.
And I'm still expecting her to pay.
Because again, I'm
Okay, that's a different situation. No,
Right,
you
right.
saying it, but
Right.
you saying it though. See, that's
Right.
a different situation.
Just-
You saying it, they don't catch the signs, they gotta go.
Right,
They gotta go.
And I think the main difference between what you were saying and what I was saying, I think the biggest difference is that I'm looking at it as this
Communication.
is just no. I'm looking at it as if like this whole issue with like you paying more or me paying more, or whatever. That is the only issue in our relationship. So if this is the only thing that's a problem.
That's not what I'm saying.
Right, exactly. That's what I said. That's the biggest
But
divider
that's
between
a
what you're saying
big
and what I'm saying.
Issue.
No, I'm not saying that it's not, but he's saying like, okay, well, if you don't do this, then there's a bunch of other areas that we probably are gonna have issues with. And when I'm thinking about this scenario, I'm not thinking about a scenario where it's like, okay, well, if this is a problem, then this is probably gonna be a problem. It's gonna trickle over into this and that and that and that. I'm thinking in my mind, like in a perfect world, if this was the only issue where, you know, you're not paying and I'm always paying, if that's the only problem that we have in our relationship, is it worth ending the relationship when I didn't even say anything or communicate that this was the issue? That's the way I was looking at it from. And you're looking at it.
So I
as
was right earlier when I
well-rounded-
said she's gonna think this way. So
Yeah,
I was right.
yeah.
What I was saying is, if you're inconsiderate, you're inconsiderate, and I want to be with it. Period. All right, guys. So this is a wonderful conversation. It was a wonderful talk. We got a lot of different opinions, and we heard all types of sides, and we were able to, get a full understanding of who we think should pay for the first date.
Not
And
even
we
a first date, just a date period.
Yeah, date, just for the date. And even
We
if
just
you're in a
ruined somebody's
relationship,
Valentine's Day.
we really did. We really did.
Everybody
Tell
look at each
everybody
other
to watch this
like,
video. They gonna be like, oh, that's how you feel about it? Oh, okay.
okay. So you want to say something? Right. I saw what you did with the bill. You was like, I seen that. I seen you.
But all right, guys, please give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below how would you respond in this situation?
gonna be a
Like,
lot of comments.
how do you feel about this? Do you feel like no matter what, the man should pay, the dominant one should pay? How do you feel about this? Let us know, and make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for next time.
Bye.
Bye.